Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another videos of the paid request. This time for Night of Snoke. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal, is usually the best bet, or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, it's an interesting topic. 5 ideas or strips that you wish were made, and 5 ideas or strips that you're glad were not made. Now, the good ones that were not made, that I wish were made, that is a bit easier of a list. And there's a ton of them. I would hope they would be good in the result, but I would be interested in seeing them. The ones that came to mind, Isobar. I always think of Isobar. That was the film that at first was going to be a Ridley Scott film, but then it was going to be a Roland Emmerich film. But this is the Roland Emmerich who did Universal Soldier. That era. Which I love Universal Soldier. And it was going to star Sylvester Stallone, Kim Basinger, James Belushi. It was going to be a sci-fi horror monster movie. It takes place in the future on this train. And Stallone was going to play this guy who's looking into this creature that's on the train. That was going to be made by Rick Baker. Rick Baker was doing the effects and the designs. And you find out it's a man-made creature gone awry, as well as a little bit of the Poseidon adventure disaster movie. So there's a monster movie mixed with a disaster movie, and it was a plant-like creature that would take people and suck the water out of their bodies. I'm like, you tell me this is an R-rated Stallone monster movie with Kim Basinger and Belushi and Rick Baker's doing effects and we got a big budget behind it? What the hell? Why didn't we get the movie? Well, because it was like a week or two before they were going to like build stuff. Carrico was out of business. I know a lot say because of Cutthroat Island, but from what I understand, they were in trouble before that. Before Cutthroat Island came out. Because they spent too much. I remember reading stories like they would give Stallone or Arnold, one of them, like a fighter jet or carrier jet as a gift or something like that. These crazy parties, they would spend too much money. And even though they had hits, Terminator 2 and Rambo 2 and stuff, but not all of them were hits. And so there was that film. There was also Crusade with Paul Verhoeven directing and Arnold Schwarzenegger starring, which that would have been nice to see, but instead you had fucking Cutthroat Island. And I'm trying to remember if they did Showgirls. Can't remember. Maybe if they did Showgirls because Paul Verhoeven did that. I can't remember. But yeah, Cutthroat Island was such the worst decision. Like, that money put into Cutthroat Island. That's what I'm talking about when I say Cutthroat Island. The money they put into it. Take that money, put it into Isobar. I think would have had a much better movie. So Isobar, Crusade would be on the list somewhere, but Isobar is number 1. I always think of that. Now, it's hard to say top 5 ideas because there's so many of them. Shadow Company, I'm going to put number 2. That was a film that I think Shane Black and Fred Decker, I think Shane Black especially was writing the film. John Carpenter was going to direct. And possibly Kurt Russell would star. And it was about soldiers in Vietnam were given this drug to be more killing machines. During it, they die in Vietnam. Their bodies are sent back, but they're not fully dead. So they revive and they take over a small town. And then the one man in their unit that did survive and just was away for the group, that would have been maybe Kurt Russell or maybe someone else, I don't know. and he fights his comrades, his fellow soldiers, who are now zombies. So an R-rated zombie soldier movie taking over a town and possibly Kurt Russell going up against them, John Carpenter directing, and Shane Black, the guy who wrote, Lethal Weapon and stuff, writing it. Shadow Company, like that would have been a hell of a movie to see. And I know I had a book somewhere. I can't remember where I put the book though. They had some of the stuff written about it. But yeah, look up Shadow Company, and that would have been really cool to see. So that's number 2 on my list. Number 3, this is more of the ideas, not so much the script. Because they put the script in the comic book form. Wasn't really a fan of the comic book, but the idea. I wish this idea was made. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Again, I would not have used the script they used that became comic book form, but Ash fighting Freddy and Jason, that would have been great to see. It really would. Bruce Campbell trading one-liners with Robert Englund. Ash getting a beat-down, bloody fight with Jason Voorhees. Of course, with all these movies, if they're done the right way, Dick Kane Hodder as Jason, have it not, that would have been cool to witness. But sadly, that wasn't meant to be, I guess. It is what it is. Hell, it would be cool to see as an animated film, even. Have Robert record the voice. Why not do that as an animated film, now that I think about it? Because animation, you could do whatever in terms of the fights, in terms of the kills, in terms of... You don't have to worry about age, and these actors getting hurt. Robert can voice Freddy. Bruce can voice Ash. I know he said it's retired. He retired the character, but I bet if it's a voice acting gig, he would do it. Whether it be a video game, or I would say make an animated movie of Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Why not do that? Some of these films, like the DC movies, they get direct-to-video animated films. The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns with Peter Weller voice. That was a really good animated movie. Go that direction, that route, and you can make it R-rated. But hey, what do I know? So that's number 3. Number 4. Granted, why wasn't this higher? Because I talk about this all the time, but I said the Alien 3, the William Gibson one. I guess technically that would be number 1. But I wanted to talk about other stuff before I talk about that. But the original William Gibson script of Alien 3, of course. Where Hicks and Bishop were the stars. And I'm talking about the original script, where it was a lot more action. It was a lot more like Aliens. There were tons of firefights. There was a zero-G fight. I think there were 2 Queen aliens. Like it went gonzo and big budget. And for some reason, they did like the comic book and the audio play on the truncated version, where there were like 3 aliens and that's it. Like, why would he do it on that? Why would I do it on the big budget, like spectacle version? Never understood that. Both the comic book and the damn audio that they had Michael Biehn and Lance Henriksen do. Why on that script? The original script. So William Gibson's Alien 3, definitely wish that was a thing. And like I said, it's hard to think of a top 5 because there's a lot of them. Bartholomew versus Death, where it's going to be directed by John Hughes, and Sylvester Stallone and John Candy will play feuding neighbors. That seemed like it'd be a funny idea, especially with John Hughes and John Candy involved. Gale Force, which is supposed to be a Stallone film. Die Hard in a Hurricane. Neil Blomkamp's Alien, that was going to be an alternate Alien 3 with an older, of course, Sigourney Weaver. Michael Biehn would be back as Hicks. I definitely would have been curious about that. Van Damme doing horror films. There was one called Holy Blood. Sheldon Lettich, who did Lionheart and Double Impact, was going to direct. Going to deal with the occult, like the X-Files. Abominable with Van Damme, which is supposed to be Predator in the Snow. A UN task force is sent in to find Red Cross workers in the Himalayas. And then you find out it's the abominable creature. Again, Predator in the Snow. But Van Damme in an action horror movie, that would have been cool to see. But number 5, I'm going to put Hunter. Granted, Rambo 5. And that's why I put Hunter, because there was a point where Stallone was going to take that and put it into a Rambo 5. And Rambo 5 was going to be Stallone trying to go after this creature. Because the novel Hunter was... trying to how to word it. Stallone's character was a tracker. I think in the novel he had this wolf with him as well. And he's hired by these mercenaries to go into this area and to stop this creature. This man-made creature. Experiment gone awry type of thing. And so it would have been a horror monster movie with Stallone. And it kind of reminds me of what you would see in Rambo 4. Like, they hire Stallone as the boatman. These mercenaries are talking all big and bad. And then Stallone comes in and saves the day. I would love to have seen that as Rambo 5 instead of the boring-ass Rambo 5 we got. Or hell, I would have loved to have seen that as Hunter. I remember some people going, oh, Hunter is finally going to get made. They're finally going to make Hunter. I'm like, no, they're not. Oh, you're just being negative. I'm like, they're not going to make it. If there's a movie trailer, then I'll believe it. But they're not making it. And lo and behold, they didn't make it. So I was right. Am I right all the time? Hell no. Far, far from it. Am I right once in a blue moon? Yeah. And that was one of the moons. I knew Hunter was never going to get made. And it never did. And I would have wanted that with Stallone. Because the closest he got to a horror film was ICU. Also known as Detox, which I do like that film. But I mean like a creature feature horror monster movie. I would love to have seen Stallone do that. Isobar, Hunter. There's another film called Fatalis, based on a novel about saber-toothed tigers in a modern setting. Yes, it's a very B-movie, but it could be a very entertaining B-movie. I love... I hope Predator. Look what Predator, that you just say that's a B-movie, but it's a damn good one. And it's A-grade. B-movie idea, but it's an A-grade material, an A-grade execution. Hell, Chuck Norris and Silent Rage. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So, Fatalis. But I'll put Hunter's number 5. Now, the ones I'm glad didn't get made, that's a bit tougher because you only hear about the scripts that were never made, but they were good. Just a bad script, they usually just throw it in the garbage. As for ideas, I mean, most of the bad ideas have been made. I mean, they're doing a Beetlejuice sequel. They did the Star Wars sequels. They did Indiana Jones 5. Like, a lot of the bad ideas, like Bill and Ted 3, like, they did the bad ideas. So, it's like the bad idea. I told a bunch of good ideas, or fun ideas, or good scripts, or at least fun ideas for a script, fun ideas for a movie that never got made. Those didn't get made, but we got Clerks 3. We got Bill and Ted Face the Music. We got Indiana Jones and Dial of Diarrhea. But I team up with 5. I'm sure there's others. Number 1 that I'm glad never got made so far. The Collector 3. I love The Collector 1 and 2. I think they're very good. I liked them a lot more than the Saw films. I love the character of Arkin, played by Josh Stewart. I think the way the second film ended was perfect. Absolutely perfect. They were actually making the third film. Like, they were filming stuff. Tom Atkins was in the cast. But I forget the details. They ran out of something happened. They shut down production. And now it's been so many years. When you start making a film, and now it's been probably 5-6 years, more than likely that project is dead. Thank God. Because I'm sorry, if you make a third film, it'll ruin the story of the first two. People go, how? Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the collection. So spoilers. At the end of the second film, our lead character, he knows Killer never stays dead, finds where the sucker is at, beats the ever-loving hell out of him, traps him just like the guy trapped his victims. And what a fitting end for the collector to have been collected. Any story after that, obviously that would mean the character Josh Stewart plays failed, the collector gets out, kills more people. That would all be on the lead guy's head. It'd be his fault. Because you're thinking, well, why didn't he kill the guy? Why didn't he shoot him in the head? Why didn't he do all this stuff? He didn't do it because of his ego. He didn't do it because of his revenge. He was selfish, all this stuff. So now all these people got killed because of him. And it would ruin the purity of the ending of the second film. And that's why I don't need a third film. The second film, when it ends it well, don't make more. How hard is that? So I'm sorry to the people making that film. I'm glad your film went belly up. Call it fate, call it karma, call it going down the wrong throat. Apparently they're cyclically... I can't even talk. It went down the wrong throat, I'm sorry. Shit. God damn it. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I'm sorry that your film went belly up, but I'm glad it did. Number 2, TMNT The Blue Door. The original Michael Bay produced idea that they wanted to do. Now, I hate the 2014 film that Michael Bay produced. I know it could have been way worse. Because the movie they wanted to do was that the Ninja Turtles were aliens from Dimension X. They're living the life in New York. They don't realize they're the last son of Krypton, apparently, and their parents were killed by these aliens. And then Shredder was Colonel Schrader. And I guess that movie would have been more about Casey than April, so they still wouldn't have been the stars of the movie. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, granted, a movie still got made and it was still crap. But really, you don't make the Ninja Turtles aliens? What the fuck? That part would make me more mad. Number 3, I put... Actually, like, how would I rank these? You know, let's go to another Ninja Turtle one. Ninja Turtles 4: The Next Mutation would have been a sequel to the 90s films. The reason I'm glad this didn't get made, I thought it was a really stupid idea. Granted, because the Turtles are going down in popularity, so how do we sell more toys? Give them superpowers. So they have more mutations. Leo, apparently his skin would be chrome, or turn into chrome. Donatello would be a telepath, or telekinetic, or a telegraph, or telephone. Mighty can look human. And Raph could be a monster, like a raptor Raph. And then Splinter, I don't know, took steroids, become a whatever the hell it was. Does they want to Splinter in more of the action? So, does he got to store some steroids? There'd be a fifth turtle named Kirby, who's supposed to be much more serious and darker, like the comic books. I'm like, oh, to make the other four seem like idiots or losers or wimps. And it seemed like it'd be more about Kirby than the Turtles. Because he's from a world who people he knew died, his world destroyed, and he wants revenge. And I feel like the Turtles were like try to fight with their new mutations, and it wouldn't work out the best. And I don't know, it would feel like they would be sidelined, and I don't need the Turtles with superpowers. They're good enough as is. I don't need John Rambo to fly. I don't need John McClane to shoot fireballs out of his bald head. I don't need John Wick to piss fire. And I don't need Ninja Turtles to look like humans or be telekinetic or telepathic or whatever the fuck. I don't need it. So I'm fine the movie didn't get made. And number 5, I mean, there's plenty to pick. The Die Hard origin story, where it was going to be a Die Hard prequel, where it was going to show like an older John McClane, then reflecting back on a younger John McClane and how he started off. I'm like, we know how he started off. It's called Die Hard. Die Hard is the prequel. That's the whole point. It didn't happen to him all the time. This wasn't an everyday occurrence. So I did not need a Die Hard prequel. Rob Zombie, The Crow 2037, or his version of The Blob, where apparently there's going to be like this monolith that would turn people into blob-like creatures, and they would like have guns, and people would be fighting these zombie people controlled by the blob, and probably some hey motherfucker, redneck, what? Hey, I don't stole fuck you, did fuck you. Let me see them titties, yeah. Where the hell Rob Zombie would right into the crap. Anything Rob Zombie didn't get to do, I'm glad for. The Terminator Genesis and Terminator Dark Fate sequels, because those were supposed to be franchises, I'm glad that didn't happen. Any Zack Snyder future DC film, because I hated that universe he was making, from Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League. I hated it. So the fact that I got kiboshed, thank God. E.T. Nocturnal Fears was such a stupid idea for a sequel, where Elliot and his family would be captured by aliens and be tortured, and E.T. has to go save them. I'd be like, who was on drugs to make this idea? No wonder it never got made. Because there's bad drugs. I mean, Ghostbusters 2, the alternate, where it was going to be in Scotland, and it would deal with a fairy ring in Scotland. Thank God that was kibosh, because I like the Ghostbusters 2 we have. Yes, there's similarities to the first, but man, I'm sorry, I'll take walking with the Statue of Liberty while Higher and Higher is playing controlled by a Nintendo controller. I'll take that any day over Scotland and a fairy ring. And something to do with banshees. Kiss my ass with that. I'm sure there's other bad ideas. I'm glad they, but it's hard to find them because I think a lot of them did get made. Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. That was a bad idea. Superman Lives, I would actually put that an idea I wish was made. As weird as it is, part of me's intrigued to what the result would have been. Superman Lives with Nicolas Cage and Tim Burton. I really like that documentary, The Death of Superman. Superman Lives. George Romero's Resident Evil would have been interesting to see, which I know there's a documentary coming out soon, sometime, I don't know when. I mean, I don't know if I would have loved it because I've heard some stuff of the script that I would have been not happy with, but I would have been very curious to see that. I mean, that list can go on, but hey, that's a few of them. There's a ton more. Put down your list of 5 you wish were made, ideas. Doesn't have to be scripts, but ideas that were floating around. Not just you think off the top of your head, because I could be like, I want an R-rated Raphael movie. Well, they were never thought of doing that, so no, that's not included. 5 ideas or scripts you heard that you wish were made, and 5 ideas and scripts you heard that you're glad never got made. For people who watch this, please feel free to type down below. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.